Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the CAV Sports Podcast. It's your host, with the most, Chris. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. I know I am. I got on the Baker Mayfield jersey, Oklahoma, because I'm feeling a little bit dangerous because we are on the 25th episode of the CAV Sports Podcast. 25 episodes. That means 25 weeks. I have been doing this podcast. That's almost close to half of a year. Since there's 52 weeks in a year, we're at 25 right now. And before I get started with the whole episode, I guess I'm gonna reflect on the last 25 weeks. So for a lot of people that don't know about how this podcast works, at least from my end, this isn't like a podcast I do full time, because some of you may know that I do have a job and I go to college right now. Sorry about that. So with all that in mind, this is something that I started to help out, kind of get my voice out there. I kind of found my passion for being on camera and doing sports and stuff like this. I found it about a year ago, and I was very excited whenever I decided to do the podcast. I was very excited. We'll just put that down for now. So I was very excited for all this to happen. I was very excited. And on top of that, it has been a lot of work that I've put into the podcast. It's been a lot of, ups and downs and scheduling and stuff like that. It is a lot. Believe it or not, it's actually a lot that you have to do and get done, to run a podcast. You know what I mean? So with that, I've just been able to kind of keep up with it. I guess lack for a better word is I've been able to keep up with the podcast. I've been able to, continue on with this for 25 straight weeks. I even took my set with me on vacation during spring break with my parents and my family. I took everything with me. They had internet there, and I set it up that way. During the holidays, whenever I first started the podcast, I went back to see my family. I took my equipment. Well, at the time, it wasn't like this. I didn't have an actual microphone like this and kind of an actual light to, help with everything. Sorry, I'm having technical issues with this microphone right now. But I didn't have any of that. I didn't have any of that stuff. It was more of me with a microphone, in headphones like this, or with my AirPods. So for those of you that probably saw the podcast when it first started coming out, you could definitely tell there's a difference now, a little bit more of a setup with, my Funko Pops here. I got the One Guy from Italy box. Right behind me, got my Liquid Death, my Tech ring, all that good stuff, and you guys can just see it right now. And I think that kind of just the growth of the podcast, and I'm very happy to see that it's continuing to grow. I mean, like I said, we started from just doing Facebook Live episodes, and then it went to me posting on YouTube. And then about a month or two later, we got on Spotify, then we got on Amazon Music, and now we're on Apple Podcasts. So if you want to stream any of the latest episodes, or you need to catch up on the episodes, all of them in the link in the bio on all of my social media at CAV Sports Podcast. Hit the link. It has YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, you guys name it, it's all there. But to kind of continue on with the kind of just the process with this podcast, it's been very helpful, I guess, in my opinion, in the sense of I have a lot of opinions on how things go, and sometimes I see games very differently. Some of you may agree with what I talk about, and others maybe not so much, which understandable. If any of you watch my stuff on TikTok when I post clips, some of you don't agree with what I have to say, or some of you may agree or maybe alter whatever it may be. And I love that that's what the podcast has helped grow and kind of get into that realm a little bit, having people supporting me, thankfully to all my closest friends and family that have been very supportive of this podcast when it first started, mind you. A lot of people were saying I should probably get this started, and I finally did. I took the risk of doing it, and I finally got it running. So the fact that we're here at 25 straight episodes, like I said, keep in mind, this isn't what I do full time. It isn't. This podcast is what I schedule in to do on top of me being in college, trying to finish up and graduate. and then on top of that, a job that I work to, earn money and pay bills, whatever. Like, this is something that I do on the side, essentially, but it's something that I love, I guess, in a sense of it's, at some points it's very helpful just to get my opinions out on games or whatever it may be. It's very helpful for that, and then it gives me something to kind of outlet from outside of everything that goes on top of school and work and kind of life. It's kind of a good way that I was able to get out and, kind of be in my own little world. And I think being here for 25 straight episodes has been, I think it's a real great accomplishment in my opinion, because a lot of people, like, they get it started, or some people, and it's not a knock, things happen and I get it, but for me, I know that if I ever stop slowing down or if I ever took a week off, I know I won't do it. And that's kind of, I guess, the mental toughness thing about this 25 weeks of me doing this podcast, so about almost half a year, is just kind of being more mentally tough, because it is hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard to do something consistently per week. For anyone out there that works out and goes to the gym, everyone knows the first couple weeks of, starting a routine at the gym and going is super difficult. Everyone knows that. I know that. It's not easy getting it all done. And it's not easy just to jump in, like, randomly. It just isn't. And I don't think, like, anyone could ever tell me different. Like, well, no, it's a lot easier than you think. It depends. But for me, this is kind of like the same realm of it. I believe that, I was able to get this podcast started and keep up with it, even through holidays, taking an hour out of my time off of vacation, something, and I was able to get it recorded and started. And I think that's been honestly very helpful. And I think that it kind of shows where I have in this podcast and what I believe it can go to. On top of others, like I said, who have supported me, or even people that are just tuning in for the first time, whatever it may be. The podcast right now for 25 straight episodes has been, like I said, just been a grateful thing. And I'm so happy that I'm keeping up with it. And I'm so happy that, 25 straight weeks I've been able to do, just on this podcast alone. Because like I said, it's not easy. It's not easy trying to pencil it in on time. If anyone out there has a busy schedule or even just does college, you can see that takes already a lot of time on top of a job that you probably work a lot of hours in, so scheduling something in, at a time where you can make it work is definitely the struggle. But I've been able to do it for 25 straight episodes, and I'm happy to say that it's probably not going to stop anytime soon. It's not going to go anywhere, and I'm very excited for the future of the podcast. Like I said, it's grown since 25 weeks. We've moved from Facebook Live to YouTube and then to streaming platforms, and now we're going to have our first ever live guest in June 17th with Eric Butterbean the Boxer, which I'm very excited about at West Texas Comic Con at the Lubbock Memorial Civic Center. Make sure you guys go get your tickets for that if you guys are going to be there. I'll be there for that majority of the weekend. But yeah, it's just, it's been a lot, and it's been a lot of growth since then. So I'm very happy that the podcast has worked out the way it has, and kind of the opportunities it brought up. Like I said, it even brought in sponsors for the podcast. One guy from Italy on University, Mint 10 Collectibles South, and then Goldmine Collectibles at West Texas Comic Con helping out, getting the Butterbean interview to go. It's just been a real big, I guess, developmental thing and a lot of growth for the podcast. And I think that that's something to be very excited about in the near future for this podcast. And hopefully it can just grow more and more. And I'm very excited for what's to come in the future. And like I said, this is only the beginning. 25 weeks, I understand to maybe some people, it's not a lot. But for me, being able to do this consistently for 25 weeks, when it's been like I said, outside of the podcast, and I'm not going to touch on stuff, it's not been easy. It hasn't been the easiest road. It just hasn't. In all honesty and transparency, it hasn't been the easiest road. But having the podcast here, kind of being able to escape into my own little world of sports and sports talk and debate and my own stuff and my own my own explanation, interpretation, and I only hope to grow from here. That's all I can really say from here on. Is it can only grow and continue to grow, and as long as I keep up with this, essentially, is I want to keep up with the podcast, and I plan on it. It's not going away. Weekly uploads of the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple. It ain't going anywhere anytime soon, and it's not. I know for social media, it has been a little bit of a down, just because, I'm the one doing everything. Keep that in mind. I'm the one that has to go look up topics and find stuff to talk about, or things that catch my eye, or, whatever. And then on top of that, I'm the one that has, like I said, sets up a date, and then I'm the one that sets up posts. Like, I'm the one that does everything. I'm the one that edits the videos for YouTube and for the podcast so it can go, with the advertisement and stuff. I'm the one that completely does that by myself. And I think that me learning all that stuff on the fly has been pretty impressive in my opinion, but I also believe that it's been a lot of, like I said, growth, and now we're in this next stage of the podcast, 25 straight episodes probably in about 3, I would say. Yeah, about 3 more episodes. We're going to be in the Lubbock Civic Center, West Texas Comic-Con, and we're going to be set up for that. And that's going to be episode 27, I believe, or if I'm going to make it a special episode, or if we're going to do 2 episodes in a week. I'm not sure yet, but we'll get there when we cross that bridge. But I just want to say, for people out there that have been listening, supporting 25 straight episodes, we absolutely made it to 25 straight, and going strong. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who supported, even if you're a first-time listener, not knowing who the heck I am, thank you so much, and I'm very excited. Thank you. 25 straight episodes, but now enough of the emotional talk. Let's get straight into the episode. All right, so first up,
interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hey everybody, Chris from the CAV Sports Podcast, and I want to give you guys a major announcement. The CAV Sports Podcast will have a live episode. Join me June 16th through the 18th at the Lubbock Memorial Civic Center for West Texas Comic-Con. Make sure to get your tickets today. And on June 17th, we will be having a special taping of the CAV Sports Podcast with special guest Butterbean the Boxer. I want to thank Goldmine Collectibles and West Texas Comic-Con for even making this happen. I'm super excited. Remember, June 17th at the Lubbock Memorial Civic Center, live, the CAV Sports Podcast will be going with special guest Butterbean. See you there. So before we move into the NBA, my Stars are sadly down 3-0 to the Vegas Golden Knights. The game last night, as of this recording, they played the night before. That wasn't good. Ottinger let 3 goals in the first period. And then, on top of that, Jamie Benn got kicked out of the game for cross-checking. And then the fans threw trash on the ice. It was not a good night to be a Dallas Stars fan. But 3 goals. And the crazier part about this whole situation that we're in is that we could have stolen at least 2 of the games in the past week. We could have won game 1. We could have stolen game 2, and then sure, if this would have still happened, at least we'd be up 2-1 and not about to get swept by the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, with the cross-checking thing, I mean, Jamie Benn, if anyone knows who he is, he's a physical player, and it happened, and I think now today it got reported he's suspended for 2 games. So, but I mean, if we lose anyways, and those 2 games ain't gonna matter. But he's out, so we lost our captain of the team and one of our best players on the team, and now we have to go figure it out on game 4 and hope to avoid a sweep, and hopefully we can maybe pull off a miracle and come back from this. Hopefully at least get a game or 2 under our belts, but just Ottinger and the goalie work, man. That's what's been killing us, because overtime twice and losing it's heartbreaking. I know confidence flies out of you the minute it happens. The minute it happens, you let up that many goals. It's the same way kind of how soccer works. You do that. You let up about 1 goal, 2 goals, your confidence goes down, and now you're thinking, oh no, I can't defend at the goal. And now all of a sudden it's like 5-0 in a soccer match. Same thing with hockey. You let maybe 1, maybe 2, you're thinking, all right, shake it off. But once you let 3, that's when you know everything's going downhill from there. And that's the worst part of it all, is that he let 3 in the first period, and the Stars had to pull him and said, you know what, that's enough. Like, 3 in 1 period in the Western Conference Finals for the Stanley, to go to the Stanley Cup, and it's just not good. It really isn't. And Jamie Benn getting suspended, not great either. That was not helpful. But the worst part of it all, and it's more of like an embarrassment thing in my opinion, was what happened when the fans were throwing trash onto the field. And I thought that was very, very out of... We didn't need to do that. We did not need to do that. We really didn't. We didn't need to do any of that. And I think that that's what I was more embarrassed about, was all that. I really was, because there's no way you can do that as a fan base, embarrass an organization like that, because you just can't. Throwing trash, it's already tough enough that these athletes are on ice, with skates and everything. And now we're throwing trash at them, and who knows what they were throwing. I know the president of the Dallas Stars issued an apology to the Golden Knights and to the National Hockey League about, this whole situation. I'm sure the American Airlines Center is going to crack down on this whole problem and make sure this doesn't happen again. But it's just an embarrassment, in my opinion. Like, I'm embarrassed as a fan. Like, that's how embarrassed I am. Like, I can't even fathom it, because for me, I'll get mad at games. Like, trust me, I was furious at the game, and how it was going. Even I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I know frustration. Like, trust me, I know frustration. Over 20 years of frustration. I know. But to go that far and trash something or destroy a TV. Like, I remember watching, like, some clips from TikTok from the Super Bowl with the Philly fans and the one kid that put money on the game, the one that went viral, and he was like, no, I got money on this game, and the Eagles lost, and he just trashed the TV. He threw his drink at the screen and stomped. Everyone's trying to calm him down, and he's like about to fight everyone. And that wasn't great. That's not a good look for anyone, like anybody at all, because you look like a crazy person. You look like you can't control yourself, and I think that that's a problem. You need to be able to have self-control. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I do the sports talking thing. I'm a fan of certain teams, players. I get it. Like, it is frustrating when stuff like that happens, but you got to be able to keep yourself under control. There's that difference of, dang, we're down 3-0. Maybe we can come back and win. Or like, all right, well, we're gonna lose 4-0 in the game. But compared to like, oh, we're losing 4-0 and throwing trash onto the ice, and they have to stop the game, clear everything, and then resume it. Like, that's more of, you don't have self-control. You need to be able to have self-control to be in a game like that. Now, I know that there was a lot of people that did it, so it's probably going to take either some time, or they're not going to be able to find who specifically did it, and who kind of started it. So unless that's going to be what the American Airlines Center is going to crack down on. But it's not going to be great, and it's not a good look for the organization either. Like, it doesn't. Like, it makes the Stars look like they condone that kind of action if they seem fit, Now, so obviously there's some silly ones, like the hat trick. Everyone throws their hats. It's a cool tradition that everyone does. That's something different. But when you're doing that, when you're throwing straight up trash because your team is losing and getting blown out, like, that is just something I can never do. I can't even fathom it. It's just more embarrassing than anything. It's not like, oh, like, I'm standing up for my team. No, that is flat out embarrassing, because, I love the Stars and all that. But when I see other fans doing it, I'm thinking, oh my God, now I'm going to be associated with that, because that's embarrassing to me. And that's not even just the Stars. That's for anybody, even the Mavericks or Texas Tech, the Dallas Cowboy fans, anybody like that. Like, it just looks bad overall. And I don't like associating, like, with that kind of behavior. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to not be a Stars fan that's not going anywhere. I don't ride that train. But I will just finish this off, is that it's just the fans, from that perspective, it looks bad. And that's exactly how rules come up. That's exactly how we don't go to a game anymore. So we just got to keep that in mind, that it happens, we lose. We're not going to win everything, and I know it's frustrating, but next time, just think about what you're going to do. Think before your actions, because there's always consequences. Alrighty, so now we're going to move on to the NBA. So before I get to the Heat and Celtics game last night, we're going to go to the Nuggets sweeping the Lakers. I'm not shocked. I kind of figured I thought they were honestly going to win in 6. I didn't think that they were going to win in a sweep. And I thought congratulations to the Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets have proven they're the top team in the West, and they continued it. But last night, so close to possibly having to go to Denver again for a Game 5, and the Lakers almost pulling it out. Here's the thing, though. LeBron himself didn't have a bad game. He had 40 points. But he only had 4 minutes of complete rest in a game, aside of halftime. That's not something you should do when you're almost 40 years old. I can understand when he's like in his 20s and he's youth and everything like that. But when you're almost in your 40s and you're trying to do that, that's exactly a good way to get injured and not be able to come back to the NBA. That's a great way to, blow everything up. Because he already had a foot injury, which was already a problem number one. That he was bugged with the foot injury. He was trying to figure it out and all that good stuff. And what ended up happening is that, it hurt him. Maybe he came back a little early from the foot injury and he wasn't the same player again. Because you could tell that after he got tired, it was no more driving it. It was no more like physical LeBron anymore. And it makes sense because he already has a foot that it's already bothering him. And then on top of that, you gassed him in a half and not even giving it to him. Now, whether I think this was poor coaching on Darvin Ham or it's LeBron being stubborn, trying not to get swept, I think it's two different things. Because I'm sure Darvin Ham tried to get him out of the game, but LeBron was saying, no, I'm leaving everything on the court and I'm going to take down the Nuggets. We are not going to get swept. And kudos to him. It really is. Kudos to LeBron for putting it all on the court on the last game of the series. Putting it all out, trying to get your team at least get a win at home and build from there. All power to you, LeBron, and all kudos. But when you do that and you're gassed. He was not able to do much at all for after a while. He just wasn't able to drive as much because the man was dead. Like I said, only about 4 minutes of complete rest during the game. And the only other rest he got was halftime. And even at halftime, he ran to the locker room because he needed all the minutes he was going to get. And it just wasn't good. And it sucks because the Lakers had a good game. They could have won the game. At one point, I thought they were going to win because they were ahead at halftime. I'm thinking, they're going to get out of this game and, they're going to go to 5. Nope. Just everything went downhill at the end, and the Nuggets turned it up. Jokic had that crazy shot at the end. Got him the 3 that nobody thought he was going to make, and he made it, and that was kind of the ultimate sign of, the Lakers are out. And I just want to say, like I said, kudos to LeBron for leaving it all on the court, but sometimes, man, you got to get out of your own way. You're trying to win it. You're not 25, and you're not, in your 20s anymore, or even in your early 30s. You're almost 40, and now he keeps his body health it's so important to LeBron. Everyone knows that. The man spends millions of dollars trying to make sure his body is right to keep up his strong play in the NBA for years to come. But he already had a foot injury. And then on top of that, it was bugging him, and he came back early to try to, do well in the playoffs. And now, look where they're at. So, to conclude this, I think that if LeBron would have gotten a little bit more rest in the third period, he probably would have had a little bit more gas to close it out in the fourth. But congratulations to the Nuggets, though, for winning the Western Conference Finals. You guys are going to the NBA Finals. I think it's the first time in their franchise history that they're going to the Finals. So congratulations to them. Jokic wins MVP for the Western Conference Championship. And now, let's see who they're going to face. Alrighty, so the next game that was last night, the Miami Heat would lose to the Celtics. Now the series is 3-1. What did I see in this game? I saw that the Heat shot poorly from 3. They shot 25% from the 3-point line, and they were already kind of a poor 3-point shooting team. They were towards the bottom in the regular season, and now with this bug showing up at the crucial game 4, everything went downhill for the Miami Heat because on top of already shooting poorly, Jimmy Butler didn't have a big game. And on top of that, the Celtics defense with about 8 blocks in a game. And just every time I saw the Miami Heat get offensive rebounds, it was another block. I believe the Heat out-rebounded the Celtics in offensive rebounds, but none of the shots were landing. It was like the other night with the same situation with the Celtics. The Celtics were not making shots, but they definitely got more offensive rebounds than the Heat did. But why? Because the Heat were actually making their shots. Now it was vice versa. And Jason Tatum showing that the NBA first team All-Pro and why he was that player. And I agree. He is a great player. He has proven he can play great. He has proven that he can be dominant like we've seen. But really, is it going to be consistent? Are we going to see this in Game 5 going into it? We don't know, because he was doing good. He was doing good, some games, and in other games he's just not showing up. He's not making shots. He's 9 for 27. He's 5 for 14, and he's not doing good. But this game, the Celtics picked it up. They really, really did, because they knew they were about to face elimination. Now, do I think they're going to come back and win it? No, I don't think so. I don't think the Heat are going to allow that. I think now the Celtics, they have a chance to at least get a game from home, but I do know that they were also have a low winning percentage at home, so they do better on the road for some reason. Why? I don't know. But they don't have a very good record at home this season, so that's what I think is going to be a factor going into Game 5, is that they don't play well at home, like as much as maybe the Heat do, because I think the Heat have won more games at home than the Celtics have. So that's an advantage that Heat can do, just kind of come back and see what they can fix for Game 5. They don't play well at home, so maybe we can use that to our advantage and go about it that route. However, though, I did see that the Celtics did shoot 40% from the three-point lines, which is way better. And that's what we were seeing, is that they were just knocking down shots. They look like the Heat from Game 3. They were just knocking down shots. And actually, they are undefeated when they make 15 three-pointers in a game. They are undefeated this season, and that's incredible. So if they can continue that kind of play, like I said, I don't think they're going to win it in 7. I highly doubt it. I want to say the Heat are going to win it in 5 or 6. If it's not going to be Game 5, they're going to win it in Miami. Like, I don't think this is going to Game 7. Like, I think if it was going to go to Game 7, the Celtics should have won Game 3. Then I can see it going to 7. But right now, I see it going 5 or 6. I just don't realistically see the Celtics coming back. I don't see them having that great of a game again. I don't see them having that that kind of high shooting percentage game again in this series, because it's very hard to replicate that. And on top of that, you're not even sure if the Heat ends up shooting about 40% from the three-point line too, because if they do that, now you're in a shootout, or you may lose depending on if Tatum plays good or not, or Jaylen Brown, or if Al Horford comes and makes some plays, or Grant Williams. Whoever is going to be that next person up is going to have to be the person that's going to help get them through the series. If they want to get to 7, I think not only that Jason Tatum needs to be great the rest of the series, but I think Jaylen Brown's going to have to be great. He's going to have to figure it out too, and either Al Horford, Grant Williams, Derek White, somebody else is going to have to get them up, because the way I see the Miami Heat and how they play, everyone, even the role players are important to Jimmy Butler, and I think that's very crucial. To some other teams, the role players are like, they're kind of, get in there, don't lose the lead. But Jimmy Butler, he's like, nope, Kyle Lowry, we have Kyle Lowry. He doesn't see them as like role players. He sees them as like, if they're all starters. So I think having that kind of personality in the locker room is going to help a lot. And I think I'm pretty sure he's going to come back and say, you know what, we're not done. It's only a game. Let's close it out. Let's go close it out in Boston. So I'm very excited for this next Game 5, which I believe is tomorrow night. I believe. I may be wrong on that, but I'm very excited. I am going to be watching it. I still have the Heat winning this. I think that they can do it. I think they can finish it in 6. I believe I said they would win it in 6 the first time around. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But I do believe that the Heat's going to win this in 5 or 6. They're not going to win it in 7, because I don't think it will go to 7. Alrighty, so an actually interesting topic that has been circling around the NBA after the Lakers got swept is if LeBron is going to retire from the NBA. No, I don't think he's retiring. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's already he's been very like strong-ho that he wants to play with Bronny. He doesn't want to go anywhere else, or he wants to go wherever Bronny goes. He doesn't want to retire yet until he plays at least a season with Bronny, who's going to USC and we'll see. And he's also has $90 million, I believe, or 190, something like that. He has a lot of money for the next 2 years. He's going to make a lot of money in the last 2 years of his contract with LA. I don't really see him retiring. I think what is going on is that he's going to evaluate his physical health, and maybe mental, because he has done this for a very long time. He has, LeBron has been in the game for a very long time. Everyone saw him when he came out of high school with the Cavaliers and had that tenure, and then Miami when he formed the Big Three, went back home, now he's in LA. Everyone has seen this man's career throughout the ages. Now, however, obviously over time, your body's going to start deteriorating. He's at age 38. I think he's done a great job. He's averaged almost 30 points a game, and I believe he averages almost a double-double, or he averaged a double-double for the year. And that's still great, because if you average those pretty good numbers, everyone's going to say, you know what, that's pretty good. He's a pretty good player. But it's the fact that LeBron has done it, he's doing it at the age of 38. And I think that's still impressive. But I think what LeBron needs to kind of sit back and realize here is that LeBron is 38, 39. He's pushing 40. Like, at some point, you're going to have to say, not retire, but say, you know what, I don't know if I can go as strong anymore because I can get injured. Like I said, this season he had that foot thing. He came back early and it was bugging him. So he's been playing on a bugged foot for a long time. And now he's finally going to, he's going to get resting. He's hopefully going to get either surgery or he's going to get it fixed up and get ready for next season. So I don't think he's retiring, but I think what he's really, really going to think about here is his physical health. How long can I be strong, LeBron, driving it through all these 6'8", 7 people in the lane? How much longer can I just be explosive and get off the ground and dunk on everybody? I think that's what LeBron is really going to think about here, because that is true. He is getting up there in age. Now, like I said, he's super athletic, gifted, everything, but he is pushing high up in the age. And at some point it's gonna dawn on you that maybe I can't do what I used to be able to do when I was 30, maybe even 35, the youngest right now. And I think that's what LeBron is gonna go into the offseason think about. Not really retirement, just where is he at body wise and where is he at, physically. That's what LeBron should be asking himself, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's gonna be, thinking about over the offseason, is where is he at physically and where is he at, as in terms of how long is he going to be able to keep up his type of playing style. If he's going to have to either evolve it or change it for the sake of being able to last the whole NBA season. Because keep in mind, he still has Anthony Davis, and that man, you hit him with a piece of paper, that man has a broken arm. So he has to keep that in mind. He's working with an injury-prone Laker AD. Who knows what's going to happen with Austin Reeves, because he may get traded if they get Kyrie or Trae Young, possible rumors. They're going to have to they can't sign Kyrie and Austin Reeves. So one of them's probably, either one's going and coming, or they both may stay, or one's got to go. And we've seen, Kyrie hasn't been that reliable either. So I think that thinking about all these scenarios that can come up, and who knows who's going to leave the Lakers, I think that's what he's going to have to think about is, can I keep this type of play up? Can I be that player that drives it to the hole strong, dunks, takes off in the air, has that kind of speed? That's what I think he's going to have to really just think about here. And I think that he will come back with a decision and say, no, I'm coming back for another year. And I believe the Lakers are a little bit nervous, but I'm pretty sure they all know, and Darvin Ham knows, he's coming back. But who knows what's going to happen with Bronny? Because I know that's kind of the bigger question, is if Bronny's going to be in college for longer than a year or two, or how long Bronny might be there. But at the end of the day, it's going to be LeBron's choice if he wants to stick around for Bronny or what he wants to do. But I think he's going to stay. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to stay. A lot of money on the table. I'm sure he wants another ring. I'm sure he's going to try to get another one. But just reevaluate how you're going to play LeBron, and I think go about it that route. Alrighty, so moving on to the NFL. This was kind of Hey everybody, I just want to take a real quick pause from the podcast to introduce our first sponsor, One Guy from Italy on University. One Guy from Italy on University is a local Lubbock restaurant located right next to Texas Tech University. They have some of the best food in town. I know personally, I go order The house calzone is my favorite, and also they have been voted to have the best calzones in Texas. So if you're ever in Lubbock, Texas, make sure you guys stop by One Guy from Italy on University, and thank you guys for being our first sponsor of the podcast. Now, let's get back to the episode. This was kind of an interesting one. Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben, he went on a podcast or a show and admitted that he didn't want to see Kenny Pickett be successful. Now, what I found very interesting about this, about his comments about this, and what I felt was kind of interesting, is that this is actually a normal human response. If you sit down and think about this, so stay with me on this one. So, when you get a job, you did really well, you were employee of the month, employee of the year, you got moved up to manager, and then at some point you said, I gotta move on. And then they hire a new person. And you're thinking, oh, cool, they hired a new person. But deep down, you may want to think, hopefully they don't do as good as I did. Because if they come back and, even closely replicate what you did, your fear is that you're going to be kind of forgotten. And you're going to be, kind of an outlier. Everyone's just going to remember you as, oh, yeah, Dave from accounting. Yeah, he did good. I mean, he got a couple awards. He was manager for a while. And, he quit. Or he moved on to something else, compared to Steve, Steve comes in and he's like, oh, and they're saying, oh yeah, he was able to rack up these numbers in sales. He was moved up to manager pretty fast, whatever. I think that's where Ben is coming from. And I just think that realistically as a human, it's just something no one really wants to admit because it sounds selfish. Now, in my opinion, it's a little selfish, in my opinion, but I'll explain because I work as a different person. But from a devil's advocate standpoint, I believe that Ben Roethlisberger is within his right to feel that way because he came in, he was a superstar for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ironically, he's still not the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you say the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's not the person I think about, but he's still, he still left a mark in that organization. 2 Super Bowl champions. He's an All-Pro. He's been to Pro Bowls. I think he won Rookie of the Year. I don't remember if he won Rookie of the Year, but He has some accolades. He has some numbers. He worked with some of the best players to ever play. Troy Polamalu, Ryan Shazier. You name it. He's worked with them. And what I found astonishing is when he said that, and he was not really rooting for his demise and Kenny Pickett's fall. I guess it was more just like he's not hoping he can, overpass him in his legacy here. And, I mean, first of all, Kenny Pickett has a long way to go. Kenny Pickett has a long way to go before he's even close. He needs to maybe win maybe a Super Bowl ring to kind of catch up to Ben. But Ben has 2. He's an All-Pro. He's been to Pro Bowls. He's going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. Like, no doubt about it. So, I think Ben has nothing to worry about right now because he already left a real big mark on the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's left his legacy. I don't think it's going anywhere, and I think Big Ben should kind of keep that in mind. Now, from my perspective, here's my thing. For at least because I guess I'm a different kind of person. I don't really think of it like that. I think of it as if I left it in a better place than I found it, or I joined, I think I did a good job. Whether it be I'm forgotten in the future, or he did pretty good, or whatever, or if I was a founder for a couple years and I sold the company, whatever it may be. Even person-wise for relationships, same thing. Yeah, if that person may find someone better than you, but I mean it's life. It's always gonna happen. But as long as I did what I could, and I made the situation at least better or great or good in somehow, some way, I feel like I did my job. And it's the same way with a job. I come in, and I left it better than how I first arrived. And I grew, and I developed and I learned from the experience, and now I can move on and go. That's how I see it. Now, when I heard Big Ben say it, I was thinking, wow, what a selfish man, because you have a big track record and Kenny Pickett, and you're scared that Kenny Pickett's going to catch you in 3 years? No, you have a big resume and big shoes to fill ever since you left. And I think Kenny Pickett knows that. I think the last thing that he wants is someone from, someone like a big name in the Steelers organization to say, oh yeah, I hope you don't do that well, buddy. because, I don't want to be forgotten. And I was like, that's a little selfish. It just is, in my opinion. But, like I said, kind of thinking about it and not seeing it as super selfish, I think it's just it's a normal human reaction. It's just not something a lot of people will admit. Because when you hear it out loud, you sound like a horrible person. Like I said, when I first heard it, I was like, wow, what a selfish individual. I've never heard anybody ever root for someone's downfall. But looking back at it and kind of sit there and thinking, it's a normal feeling. I don't think that anyone should knock him for that. I think it's normal to feel that way. It's just not a lot of people talk about it, But I'm on the train of, if I left it as good as if I did it, what I could do and left it in a good spot, then yes. Even if I trained someone, like whenever I had a previous job, I had to train the new people coming in. I did that myself, but I knew as long as they knew enough knowledge like I did, and I put them in a situation where they're gonna succeed and not be set up for failure, I'm a root for you. Like, even if you pass me, I'm like, good for you. That means I did my job. That means I did my job and you excelled at what I did. And I think that's awesome. So I think that I'm at a different, I guess, mindset-wise, I'm in a different place from Ben Roethlisberger, and I think some of us might need to keep that in mind. But overall, it's a normal feeling, Ben. I get it. Some people will feel that, whether they admit it or not. But, I think that's something he should have waited on saying, or maybe, like I said, maybe like not admit that. But I think you're going to be fine, Ben. Kenny Pickett has a long way to go before he can even try to catch you. So keep that in mind. Alrighty, so next one, kind of an interesting news. Woolen, the corner for the Seattle Seahawks, is gonna need surgery. Now, this it's not a big surgery. It's just something in his knee. The reports did say he should be up and running for July. When OTAs starts going and training camp and stuff. And now the Devon Witherspoon pick looks real good, doesn't it? Just in case. I mean, it's a little sad. I mean, it's sad because, he's a really good corner. He's probably going to be a staple in that defense in Seattle. And now Witherspoon's going to come in, and hopefully this injury doesn't affect him in the season. I don't think it will. It doesn't seem like a major one if he can just get it and he'll be ready by training camp and all that and get ready for the season. I think if it was like an ACL like tear, or if it was anything major, then it'd be a little bit more of a concerning factor than, say, like this kind of like knee procedure. Because if it's like an ACL tear, then that's like, okay, yeah, no, this guy's gonna be gone for a year, and that's a little bit more concerning. Because I know once you tear an ACL, I mean, we've seen in the NFL, and we've seen in the NBA, you may not be the same person again from the surgery. Because it's a complete, they gotta fix your tenant. And if it was that situation, then it's like, oh, Seattle's gonna have an issue because now they're down one of their best defenders, and they gotta rely on a rookie. But he's gonna be back. I don't think Seattle fans don't freak out. We're not there. Don't go there. And you had Devon Witherspoon coming in as a rookie and going on the other side. Worst case, he can help out if the knee starts bugging Woodland and go that route. But I think Seattle's going to be okay. I think that Tariq Woolen's going to be fine too, and he's going to be okay. So Seattle fans, don't freak out yet. Alrighty, so last topic for today, I got on the Baker Mayfield jersey. I'm feeling a little dangerous. 25th episode of the podcast. We're going to talk about Baker Mayfield, my guy. Hope you can watch this episode. Love Baker Mayfield. Loved him since he was in college. Never going anywhere. So Baker Mayfield is now going to be the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going to start over Kyle Trask, which is not surprising. So, but what I found really interesting, in my opinion, what I found interesting is that everyone's thinking that they're going to tank. Like, no, they're going to go tank and try to get Caleb Williams. I don't think they're going to tank. I really don't. I believe in Baker Mayfield. I think that they still have a lot of talent. We got to keep that in mind. It's not like he's going to a team that doesn't have anything like the Houston Texans did. It's not like what happened with them when they only had really Brandon Cooks and Dameon Pierce. And that was it. And then Dameon Pierce went down. Brandon Cooks didn't want to play for them anymore. And the Texans were like, out of luck. I don't think it's that situation in Tampa. I think really Todd Bowles is going to be the big question mark in his coaching because obviously they didn't do well when Tom Brady was there. But I believe that Tom Brady not doing well was more because he didn't have an offensive line, because the offensive line was injured. A lot of them were. The center, the left guard was injured. And they did draft some new people. They got some new people in the draft for an offensive line, so that can help out a little bit. And on top of that, the talent's still there. He still has Mike Evans, an all-pro who's going to be a Hall of Famer. Chris Godwin, who has deep field speed. They just got Tay Barber from TCU, who was a great second-choice wide receiver for Max Duggan on the side of Quentin Johnson. He's in Tampa Bay right now. They still have Rashad White. Leonard Fournette's gone, so maybe they don't have to run with him as much. And they still have a decent defense. So I don't see really what the issue is for like why everyone's thinking that Tampa's they're gonna do so bad. They're gonna tank and get Caleb Williams. I don't think so, because he has more talent here in Tampa than he did in Carolina. Like, admittedly, he did, because all he had was DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey realistically was hurt a lot. DJ Moore, he was the only wide receiver choice that they really had. Robbie Anderson was not that great. He went to LA. He had to play with third string players in LA because Cam Akers decided to be good for some reason. Aaron Donald was gone. Cooper Kupp was gone. Allen Robinson was gone. Most of that defense was gone. The offensive line, not that great. Like, he didn't have a lot to work with in LA. Of course he wasn't going to do that well. But now coming into Tampa, he has talent. He does. He has good wide receivers to play with. You know, he doesn't have just one. Or even when he was in Cleveland, when they brought in Odell was hurt. So he had to go to Jarvis Landry and then Nick Chubb, at running back. And they were able to make it work. Keep that in mind. They made it work in Cleveland when they had Nick Chubb and they had only Jarvis Landry, essentially. They made it work. They got to the playoffs. They destroyed the Steelers and almost beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Like, keep that in mind. So he's going to have talent. Now, do I think that this is kind of a no-excuse season? I do think so. Because this is kind of, he has talent. He has a solid defense. The NFC South is weak right now because there's a lot of question marks. No one knows if the Saints are going to be good with Derek Carr. Hopefully he doesn't redo another season like he did this last year. Who knows how Bryce Young's going to work with Carolina. They did get Miles Sanders and Adam Thielen, but it's still shaky. They have a decent defense, but it's still shaky. Same problem in Atlanta. No one's going to know. We don't know what Desmond Ridder's going to be like. We don't know if Drake London's going to have a fallout year. Who knows if Kyle Pitts is ever going to get the ball or catch a ball. And Bijan Robinson is there. And with the Flash, Cordell Patterson, and then see what their defense is going to do. So I think there's just a lot of question marks in the NFC South right now. And it's still a toss-up on who can win the division. He's not in a strong division like he was in LA, because he had to face Seattle and San Francisco and not really the Cardinals, because they were on their last legs. And not in Cleveland, who had the Steelers and the Ravens and the Bengals, and he had to go up against them. This one's a little bit more, not really relaxed, but it's more of a, less tense. It's up in the air. He may be able to make playoffs. It's not out of the question. Call me crazy or not. It's not out of the question. If you look at their division, because it's not that strong. Tom Brady almost lost their division to the Panthers last season. That's how weak that whole division was last year. So now a lot of new players are coming in. We don't know what they're going to be like. So it's a toss-up. So I don't think that Baker Mayfield's in a position where he's going to tank the team, because they're not. They have way too much talent to even try that. Like I said, they still have weapons on offense. They have a good offensive line when they're healthy. Their defense can hold their own. And I'm pretty excited for Baker Mayfield and his opportunity. And I definitely believe he should be over Kyle Trask, because Kyle Trask has never played. And there was a lot of question marks with him because they brought in Blaine Gabbert last year to be second string to Tom Brady over Kyle Trask. So I believe that, with Baker Mayfield and this situation that he's in, he has the opportunity to prove that he is a good quarterback. And he can last, and they don't need to go get another one. Especially since they're working on cheap. I know that's exactly why Tampa Bay got him, because he's not expensive. But if he can make this year work, he can probably get a contract and get extension, and they can try to build a team around him. But I believe in Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, do I think they're going to win the division? I guess it's a toss-up. I think the lowest they're going to get is third. They're going to for sure get second. I believe they're going to get second. Because, like I said, maybe the Saints, because they have a more proven quarterback who's been in the league, a veteran for a very long time. So it's going to be them either in first or Tampa. Because Carolina, it's a big question mark if Bryce Young's going to be any good. I think he is, don't get me wrong, but they only have really Adam Thielen at wide receiver, and hopefully Miles Sanders can replicate what he did in Philadelphia. And then it's a big question mark, and the same thing with Atlanta. Big question on if Desmond Ridder is going to be any good. So that's going to be something to also take into consideration. Alrighty, so I see in the comments on the Facebook live feed, rumor has it that Aaron Rodgers has some injuries. Who is shocked? Not me, because that man will get out of anything. So, am I shocked that he possibly has injuries? No, he's up there in age. He's like the same problem with LeBron. He's old. He's getting up there. He can't really hang with young guys. And I would say maybe the weather, but he was in Green Bay for such a long time. So who knows what's going on with the injury thing? I'll have to look more into that. But if he is injured, I mean, the Jets are going to bite their hands. They're going to hate themselves so much if he's really injured. I'm not hoping he's injured, but I'm just saying the Jets are really going to hate themselves. And I feel bad for my man Jeff, diehard Jets fan for a long time, and they just got Aaron Rodgers, and he may not even play. And there's rumors has it that he's possibly injured. I don't think he'll be injured forever. I mean, I don't think that that's going to be the case. But if he is like dealing with some issues, he better get it fixed before the season starts, because there is some high expectations in New York. I mean, a lot of Jets fans and Jets articles are already claiming that they may win the East. I don't think they will, because the Bills are going to win the East, but they're going to be tough competition. But if Aaron Rodgers isn't 100%, then Zach Wilson, I'd start getting ready, my dude, because you're going to have to... Wait, did anybody talk to Zach Wilson about this? How do we not know that Zach Wilson didn't take the Gatorade? How do we know he didn't, kind of knock on his knee a little bit, do some voodoo stuff so he could be starting quarterback? No one's asking that. No one's really asking that question. But on a serious note, well, hopefully he's all right and he can get it, he can get it fixed and start the season with the Jets, because that's really going to be horrible for the Jets if they don't have their starting quarterback that they traded a lot for. Not on top of Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb and the tight end and trying to get Odell and then trying to figure out how they were going to get Aaron Rodgers through that whole thing and not even sure if he's going to play. That's going to suck for the Jets, but we'll talk about that in the next episode. But alrighty, guys, that's going to wrap things up on this episode of the CAV Sports Podcast. Like I said, this was episode 25. Thank you to everyone that listens in every week, all my supporters, close family and friends for supporting me ever since the podcast began. I'm very excited for what's to come and the future of the podcast. Make sure you guys follow me on all my social media at CAV Sports or CAV Sports Podcast. I'm on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcast. And remember, I will be at the Lubbock Memorial Civic Center June 17th for West Texas Comic Con with special guest Butterbean. It will be a live episode. I'm super excited. I'll make sure to keep you guys updated on any information on the social media. Remember, at CAV Sports or CAV Sports Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it, I got it. But until next time for the next episode, I'll catch you all later.